guys, today I am doing my book haul. I'm going to be showing y'all all of the books that came into my possession in the month of September. Let's get into it. Let's start out with my book of the month books. There was a really good selection of book of the month this month. I will have a link down below in the description of this video if you guys would like to check them out. I'm not sponsored or anything, but they're my favorite subscription box and the only one that I've kept for years. So the choice that I made this month was Mad Woman by Chelsea Beaker. This is a literary fiction. Let's read the little short blurb. A gripping story of motherhood, mother loss, and the brutal, mighty things women do to keep themselves and each other alive. So we have this girl who something happened with her mother in the past, like something criminal, and she's kept that away from everybody. She started a new life for herself, but one day she gets a letter from the California prison system, so all this life that she's built for herself might unravel and fall apart. Next we have more of a science fiction dystopian book, and that is Hum by Helen Phillips. I actually don't remember what this book's about, so we're going to find out together. This is an extraordinary novel about a woman who undergoes a procedure that renders her undetectable to surveillance, but at what cost? That is really intriguing, because why would she want to do that? And then it says at what cost. I'm really curious, why is this woman doing this, and is it like, if there was a risk and all of that, why did she do it? And it's so short. We love short books. Then we have Will by Will Smith. This is Will Smith's memoir. We'll be doing the audiobook with it, and look how big this one is. So he's going to be telling us a lot of info, but he narrates the audiobook himself. So I'm going to be doing this as a buddy read in the future. It was really popular when it first came out, and I mean, look at this cover. So colorful and cool. Since the late spring, I have been in a bit of a fantasy mood, but I haven't really gone into that yet. I am more in winter is when I really read fantasy books, but I do want to fall in love with fantasy again, and it's just been so hard because so many of the same tropes are used over and over, and the books don't feel authentic anymore. So when I hear people say this book is different from all those other books, that will make me go towards the book. This one is A River Enchanted by Rebecca Ross, which I know Divine Rivals is one that I will not go towards because it's so hyped and that terrifies me. This one was more intriguing to me, and oh my gosh, the font is so small. So it starts with a letter and an ominous journey across dark waters. 10 years after being sent away to the mainland to become a bard, Jack Tamerlane is summoned home to Cadence. But his return is not a joyous one. Girls are going missing from the island, and Adara, future leader of the clan, believes Jack is the only one who can find them. Forgettable characters, we hope, because character-driven books are my favorite. A spellbinding plot and gorgeous world building, A River Enchanted is a stirring story of duty, love, and the power of true partnership, and marks Rebecca Ross's brilliant entry on the adult fantasy stage. Lastly, this is one that I saw on some video. I don't know if it was on TikTok or on YouTube, but that is The Knockout Queen by Ruthie Thorpe. I am going against what I stand for here. I own a book by this author and I haven't read it, and I went and bought another book by this author. Good thing they're short because I don't want to make commitments around here, but I can always unhaul books. I can donate books to little free libraries. It's one of my favorite things. I haven't been to a little free library in a few weeks, so definitely want to do that sometime soon. But let's see what this one is about. So a dazzling and darkly comic novel of love, violence, and friendship in the California suburbs. Is there? No. So there's that one. Here's one that's going to be very different than a lot of books that I show on this channel, and that is the Bible. See, they sent it to me upside down. I'm like, did somebody who likes little Bibles upside down package this? I'm joking. But this is the Everyday Study Bible, Christian Standard Bible, because so I own Bibles and they are very annotated, and yeah, I've owned a lot of Bibles over the years. But I want to read the Bible not as a religious text. I want to just read it for what it is, because I think this is a great story, and I do believe the Bible. I should say that before people like jump on me. I want to read it just as a book, and I know some other people who might want to join me in doing that. And if you guys are interested, let me know, because have y'all ever read a religious text not as a religious text? I saw this one on Instagram and I was like, okay, cool, I'll buy that one. And I want to read it as a book because I think it would make a great, every time I hear like stories of the Bible, I'm like, that would make a great fantasy TV show. I know it's not fantasy, but I just think it would make a great TV show. And I know people have done it, but I want like a real, like, you know, like HBO, not Lifetime. Now we have my Barnes & Noble purchases. So they had the hardbacks for, was it 50% off? I'm not remembering what the sale was. And then I had a gift card. So thank you to my friend who got me a gift card. So I got these all for pretty cheap. And I really wanted to focus on thrillers, but there was this guy who would just not budge from the thriller section. And he was just on his phone. I was like, dude, can you move? Like, I kept trying to make it clear that I wanted to be right there, but he wouldn't really move. I did not get all thrillers here. The two hardbacks are definitely not thrillers, but you know, that's just how it is sometimes. So the first one is Kitten Tits by Holly Wilson. I know this is taking place with like the World Fair in Chicago in 1992. Like, they were having the World Fair that recent. Holly is a girl, she cusses a lot, and even though she's 10 years old, and I love books that are at the point of view of children but are for adults. I just finished one, The Floating Girls. I don't know if I would recommend it. Yeah, recommend it, but it's a good book, not a great book. So this one hopefully is a great book because I've heard really good things. I've heard it compared to The Florida Project, which I really enjoyed that movie. So hopefully this one does live up to everything that I've heard. And the tagline is, or a quote here, "Readers beware, Kitten Tits may seem sweet, but she has claws." That is exactly how kittens are. Our next one I know I heard about on TikTok, and that is There's Only This Year on Basketball and Assortment. And this is by Hanif Abdurraq, and I'm definitely butchering that. So this is a guy who grew up in Ohio at the same time as LeBron James, and it goes into LeBron's career but also this guy's life. So it says, this is a triumph brimming with joy, pain, solidarity, comfort, outrage, and hope. No matter the subject of his keen focus, whether it's basketball or music or performance, the author's exquisite writing is always poetry, always profound, and always a clarion call to radically reimagine how we think about our culture, our country, and ourselves. So I do love when books are poetic. That's just my favorite writing style, and I've struggled so hard this year to find books that read in a poetic way. And this is nonfiction, so a poetic nonfiction, hopefully it works out. Two more thrillers. One is technically a horror because, again, that guy wouldn't move, so I was just in the horror section. But the thriller is A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. There's a Netflix series for this, and this is one that I finally gave him to the hype, I guess. And maybe I did add it to my TBR back in like 2018 or whenever, but I finally got around to buying it. I don't even really know what it's about. So this is the story of an investigation turned obsession. I am sure with true crime, there's so much of that today because people just get so ingrained in things and become obsessed with it. It's gross. But pretty and popular high school senior Andy Bell was murdered by her boyfriend, Sal Singh, who then killed himself. It was all anyone could talk about, and 5 years later, Pip sees how the tragedy still haunts her town. Now a senior herself, Pip decides to re-examine the closed case for her final project. Ooh, those teachers shouldn't have let her do that, but okay. At first, just to cast doubt on the original investigation, but soon she discovers a trail of dark secrets that might actually prove Sal innocent, and the line between past and present begins to blur. Someone in Fairview doesn't want Pip digging around for answers, and now her own life might be in danger. And I got a new Stephen King book, okay, serious question, why do men love Stephen King so much? On YouTube, I don't really watch a lot of male booktubers. I just haven't found ones that I like. But on Book Talk, I follow a lot of male book talkers, and they all worship Stephen King. It's like, yeah, I like It by Stephen King, but I honestly don't understand why they love him so much. It's like every man is gonna love Stephen King. I just accept that at this point. So this is Misery by Stephen King, and I know it's like about a writer, and let's see. So best-selling novelist Paul Sheldon has finally met his biggest fan. Her name is Annie Wilkes, and she is dismayed to discover Paul's plan to kill off Misery Chastain, the heroine of his beloved series. Annie is more than a rabid reader. She is Paul's nurse, tending his shattered body after an automobile accident. She is also his captor, imprisoning him in her isolated house where no one knows he is. Yeah, I love when in thrillers, and this was in the horror section, but honestly that sounds more like a thriller to me, because for me horror is when there's paranormal elements involved. At least that's what I think. That's how I picture it, but I don't know what the exact definition is. But I love when we're at an isolated place, we're stuck, we're trapped, we can't go anywhere. And I mean, look how one to read this looks. So in September, I have been reading thrillers, so I did want to buy some thrillers as well. And one that I've heard about on social media is Hidden Pictures by Jason Rukulik. This is about a girl who life's been hard for her, and she's trying to get it all back on track, and these people trust her to be the babysitter or nanny for their son, and the son is very creative, very artistic. But then he starts drawing very creepy pictures that alarm everybody. So the son, did he see something he wasn't supposed to see? And is he trying to tell the adults what he saw but doesn't know how to describe it? So he draws the pictures. We will have to find out when we read the book. But the pictures are like throughout the book. So I think this is a very creative take on a thriller. Next, I went to Goodwill this month just to look around because I like going to the thrift stores. And I got a new bookcase, which is super exciting, but I also got a book, and one of the other shoppers there who's in checkout behind me, she was so excited that I was buying this book. She's loved all of this author's books and was like, it's really good, you're really going to enjoy it. So that just made my day to see people happy and talking about their love for books and just their being passionate about something that only is just makes my heart warm. And the book that I'm talking about is Texas Rich by Fern Michaels. And how much did I pay for this book? I got this book for $1.99, and it is a hardback, but this is a historical fiction series that all goes through the history of Texas, which Texas is one of those states that always just really intrigues me. I talked about it before when I drove across Texas, literally from South Carolina all the way to Phoenix, Arizona. When I was out in that desert in West Texas, I was just getting so much inspiration. I was like, oh my gosh, I need to get to a computer to write stuff down. Like, it just sparked a creative spark in me, and therefore I like Texas. And a lot of books that I've enjoyed through the years take place in Texas, so I'm always drawn to that setting for books. This is the captivating story of 4 generations. There's Moss living in the shadow of a father whose obsession with power overshadows the need of his only son. Jessica, the doomed mother who gave up everything to become the perfect Coleman wife. Moss and Billy's children struggling against the family's legacy while desperately trying to live up to insurmountable expectations. And the children heirs to a tarnished empire who just might fulfill their dreams. Most of all, this is the triumph story of Billy Ames Coleman, a woman of courage and strength, who holds them all together even as her own life falls apart. Y'all know I love pop culture, I love drama, and this month Dave Grohl announced that he had a child, not with his wife. That's the kind of tea that I love. I know it's bad. I feel really bad for his family, especially for his kids, but yeah, I like gossip and drama. Guilty pleasure, I'm sorry. So I was like, I'm gonna go pick up Dave Grohl's book finally. Now I know in his book he's not gonna be like, I have all these mistresses and they're wild, and I know that it's not gonna say stuff like that. I just was like, what tea could this man have in here? So I picked up The Storyteller by Dave Grohl. Again, he does the audiobook, so I'm going to be doing this as a buddy read and following along with the audiobook. And I've been wanting to read this book for a while, even before all that drama came out, because I've heard that this is a phenomenal phenomenal memoir. Another celebrity memoir from a guy who was in a band in the 90s, and that is Life's Too Short by Darius Rucker. And this is a short memoir compared to the others we've seen. This one, oh my gosh, they're all like 90s, because we got Will Smith too. So Will Smith, Dave Grohl, Darius Rucker. That's a very chaotic crowd. But Darius Rucker is like the spokesperson for South Carolina, so I thought I should probably get around to reading his book, and I already have a long list of people who want to read this book with me. And lastly, this is a nonfiction, but it's not a memoir, but it is a biography, and that is First Man, The Life of Neil Armstrong, The Essential Biography by James R. Hansen. They made a movie of this book. I have not seen the movie, but everybody I know who has loved the movie, and that got me really intrigued to pick up the book so one day I can watch the movie, because this was the first man to walk on the moon. Literally, that is crazy to think about, walking on the moon. I know, like, all the older people who watch my videos, I'm sure y'all remember it, but I cannot fathom that. We had the space shuttles in my youth, and I know, like, I see rocket launches occasionally of SpaceX going to launch satellites or whatever. I've only seen one that had people in it. And just the thought of going to space, and then y'all know about those Boeing astronauts who are currently like stuck at the space station. That, when I was talking about horror books where you're in an isolated, stuck somewhere, that would be the perfect premise, and I'm sure that somebody has written one like that, but it just makes my skin crawl thinking about that. No, like, I don't consider myself claustrophobic, but when you're stuck in space, that opens a whole new can of worms. But that's not what this is about. So this is Neil Armstrong's biography, and I want to learn more about him because literally all I know is he's from Ohio and walked on the moon. Those are all of the books that came into my possession in the month of September. Have you read any of these books? What has been your favorite book that you've hauled this month, one you were most excited about getting? If you made it through this whole video, leave a leaf emoji in the comments below. And as always, comment, rate, and subscribe. And don't forget to ring that notification bell to be notified when all my videos go live. I'll see you in my next one. Bye. If you are familiar with my videos, you're used to seeing Sherman at the end of them. Sadly, Sherman has since passed away, but I would still like to encourage you guys to help your local shelters. Sherman was at the Darlington County Humane Society in rural South Carolina. I always have their link down below in the description if you guys would like to help them, but also help your local shelters as well. You can do that by donating, sharing posts like this one, volunteering, fostering, and adopting, which it's great to do all of those things. Great to help your community, great to help the animals in your community, and I cannot recommend it enough. All of my pets were rescues, they were strays or from animal shelters, and I love them so much, and I know how much love they can give, so knowing these pets at the shelter can equally give that much love, it's amazing. And y'all should totally take part and help out those local animal shelter pets, and please help them.